Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's session. Myself, Radhika Nathani, from Corporate Communication Team at IFA Global, would like to thank you all for being here on this platform. The topic for today's webinar is World-Class Treasury Practices to Navigate Current Challenging Times, Part 2. Now, it gives me immense pleasure to introduce our today's speaker, Mr. Abhishek Goenka, founder and CEO at IFA Global. Under his leadership, IFA team has catered to over 1,000 clients and has managed a FX cumulative of over 20 billion USD. Mr. Goenka is well known for his views on various business channels and dailies like CNBC, ET Now, Bloomberg, Business Standard, and a chairman of well-known Treasury forum known as Treasury Elite. So, without any further delay, let's begin the session. Over to you, Mr. Goenka.
Thank you, Radhika. Thank you for a lovely introduction. Hi, everyone. I welcome you all today and thank you so much for taking out time on this Friday evening. And I'm going to make sure in the next 1 hour, 10 minutes, I'm going to give you 6 takeaways, which is going to be so relevant to your business and treasury that it will change the way you look at your treasury. So please take a glass of water, be ready. This is going to be a very, very interesting session. Please make notes and please interact via the chat box, which is mentioned there. And I hope everybody can listen to me clearly. Say yes, yes, yes. So I know I am loud and clear. Just write why. So I know that everybody can listen to me. So excellent, excellent. So let's make this session extremely interesting because there are very, very knowledgeable people who have registered today. So let's learn from each other. Let's not make it a monologue. And my team is there. Please keep asking your questions. We may not have a lot of time later. So the team will keep answering the questions as and when you throw questions on the chat box. Any questions per se, foreign exchange, interest rate, capital structure, hedging, please keep asking questions so the team can keep answering from the back. Right? So are we ready? Say yes. Excellent. I'll share my PPT. Yeah, great. Is my PPT clear to everyone? Okay, just give me 1 minute. Excellent. So once again, I would like to welcome you all. So some of you would have attended my last session, which was more on the entire FX risk management and a detailed MIS and various ideas and strategy. We'll do a quick recap of the last session and then probably spend 2-3 minutes on it and then probably go in for the rest, which is going to be more on the capital structure, debt, some of the very interesting ideas which is going in the market, some regulations, and some various world-class practices that's very important for treasuries today. So let me start first with a poll. Amit, can you start the poll? Excellent. So we'll do a lot of polls. So please share your inputs. My first poll is, which is the most important function of a corporate treasury in your company? Very nice. You can see a very active participant. Excellent. Excellent. You can see 32 people have voted. Yeah, excellent. Please keep voting so that we can save some time quickly. So, 50 odd people. I can see a lot of people voting for cash and liquidity and asset management. So close to 40% have voted for FX risk management, and equally people have voted for cash and liquidity management. I mean, during COVID time, I think it's so relevant. My dear friends, whatever questions you have, you can put it in the chat box. Uh, Please do not raise your hands right now. Just put in your questions so that people can answer. I hope everybody can see the poll. Just write why, so I know. Excellent. People are getting warmed up. I think it's a very, very interesting audience. Everybody's, giving their points. It's so relevant. I mean, everybody comes to know that what is most important thing for corporate treasuries nowadays. So I'll end the poll here and share the results. So interestingly, cash and liquidity management and FX risk management has been the most important part which people feel. We're going to cover that. But before this, let me show you something very, very interesting. So when we talk about corporate treasury, FX risk, as I said, yes, it's a very, very relevant subject. But I think capital structure is so important because ultimately, what is your debt equity ratio? What is the leverage in the company? Has been, noticed by your shareholders, your banks, your rating agencies, every single stakeholder which is attached to the company. And with an increased debt equity ratio, the leverage of the firm increases, and ultimately, the risk of the firm also increases. So people take a note of it. Interest rate. I mean, people talk about FX, but sometimes I see people do not talk about interest rates. I mean, why not? I mean, if the interest rate is expected to go up, you would like to lock in the lower interest rate, right? So interest rate is so important. I mean, I was reading, I mean, Austria has launched 100-year-old bond. I mean, just imagine the kind of interest rate risk that Austria as a country faces. If the interest rates go up by 1%, the capital will actually erode by around 45-50%. In today's time, the interest rates have come down. Investment, everybody's asking. I mean, I get a lot of calls from clients as in Abhishek, I have so much of lazy money put in. Where do I invest? I mean, should I invest in a REIT? Whether I invest in a liquid fund? Liquid fund is not giving any interest. Should I take a position on silver? I mean, I don't want to take credit risk. So these are the kind of questions which is coming in. Cash and liquidity. I mean, someone rightly said that turnover is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash is the reality. I mean, cash is so important. I mean, we saw in the poll also, in terms of liquidity and asset liability management, I mean, every single company is in the process of raising money. Everybody wants liquidity in the books. So I think liquidity is so important. Is it important for you? Just say why? I mean, are you facing that crunch of liquidity in the current situation and you are working very, very hard to get that? In commodity, I mean, your cost of goods sold and your line items on the top of the balance sheet, completely changes because of the commodity. I mean, recently I was talking to a client of mine who's one of the large rice exporter, and he was telling that one of the big rice exporters gone bust because he had a large commodity exposure, and one of the banks cut their positions because the commodity exposure and the loss actually went up to $1 billion. So, all these points are extremely important. And when you gel all of these, then you get a corporate treasury efficiency, right? So, in the last seminar, when we were covering about FX, a quick 2-minute recap is that when you talk about FX, the first and the most important thing is identification and quantification of risk. I mean, how many of you have problems in terms of understanding, where are the risks arising in the balance sheet? Have you thought about it? Has these questions come in your mind? Just write why. Quantification of risk. Whether it's an export, whether it's an import, whether you have to pay dividends, whether there's a translation risk, economic risk, or you have raised some foreign currency debt. Once you have identified where the foreign exchange risk is, half of the work is done. Then is measuring your risk appetite. So if I ask someone, what is your risk appetite? Different answers are coming from different people. I mean, if you ask a textile company, he will probably have an EBIT of 10, 11%. He will say, my risk appetite is 11%. If you ask a trading company, which plays in volume, he say, my risk appetite is 3, 4%. I mean, whatever premiums I get by selling dollars, even pass on that premiums to my buyers. So his risk appetite is very low. So once you know what your risk appetite is, comes your risk tolerance. I mean, a promoter who has no risk tolerance, he's like, my profitability is 15%, but I don't want to risk more than 2%. 2% आप ले लो, उससे ज़्यादा नहीं ले सकते, क्योंकि 13% का EBIT तो मुझे दिखाना है, and I want to earn that much of money. Somebody might say, oh, I have 15% of risk appetite, like 5%, 6%, I have no problem. So risk tolerance comes from the top, the ethos of the promoters, then passed to the CFO and to the entire team. So that's the way it really works. Then comes your hedge ratio. Now, in terms of a hedge ratio, you have to be very careful that what is your actual hedge ratio. Your hedge ratio has to be something which is company to company. It should be divided. In some companies, your hedge ratio should be based on your business model. I mean, it could be 30%, 40%, 50%, 70%. And then totally depends on how much of orders that you have in hand. And then comes your selection of instruments. I mean, and forward contract could be useful for someone, but someone who has no certainty in business, then he might have to go in for an option contract, because he is not sure whether documents will go or not. So he can take more of options. So accordingly, different companies would have different ways of looking at things. Now, and lastly comes the MIS and evaluation. Now, as a promoter, you don't want to spend more than a minute watching your foreign exchange and interest rate risk in a day. You should have a strong MIS. You should be able to decide, as in how much is the P&L, how much money have I made, whether systems are being followed, etc., etc. So let me just show you a quick sheet. I hope everybody is able to listen to me loud and clear. Just repeating. Right, why. Excellent. So if you can look at this particular sheet, when ideally when you work in a company and when you have to give a presentation to a promoter, or even for the promoter to take a decision, the way it should be is like, you make your P&L of your FX right from day one, irrespective of where the market goes. Your FX and your EBIT should be decided on day one. Now, if you do a little bit of mathematics and some scientific calculation, you typically see that using a normal distribution, you can actually get the range of the rupee. I mean, nobody knows where the market is going. If anybody is telling you that after 6 months the market is going to 75 or 70, it's just a informed guess based on some data which he understands. He can go right, he can go wrong. It's a probability of 60-40 or a 50-50. Now, based on certain mathematical models, using 15 years of data, if you can understand that possibly 69 to 88 is the broad range of rupee for the next year. Now, it's not that I am saying this, it's the numbers which say this. So once you know that this is the broad range of the rupee, around 10% on the downside, and this was calculated around 75 rupees, and 88 on the upside, 14% on the upside, typically, you know that this is my worst case scenario. Now, as an exporter, you don't want to take a view. You simply say, okay, I have a turnover of say $2.2 billion. I have a budgeted rate of 75. This is my sales. This is my operating cost. My profitability is approximately 15%. Now, I want to protect this 15%, but I have a risk tolerance of say 3%. So 3% you can risk, not more than that. So if I know that 3% is a risk and the mandate is very clear for the CFO, then in that case, he can play around with a strategy, making sure that more than 3% is not lost at any circumstance. And that is what is important. You cannot take a call when the rupee comes to 73 that, okay, no, start selling dollars. That's not the way. At 75, 75, half utsil, the Excel sheet should be prepared. And based on that, you calculate what ratios you have. And accordingly, you change the ratios and you keep seeing that you want to take a forward, you want to take a range forward or a vanilla option. Everything over here is calculated loud and clear. All the options, premiums are over here. You can keep changing the rates. Everything is put in the sheet. And you can come to know what will happen if tomorrow rupee goes to 70. Rupee goes to 70, you are still losing 1.7% of your EBIT. What was your mandate? 3%. Well and fine. If the rupee goes to 90, you are getting 8% on your EBIT. That's a risk reward of around 1:4. Makes sense? So, what I'm trying to say is, you know the range of the rupee. Accordingly, you decide the forward and the option ratio. And don't get worried, no matter what Trump says, no matter what RBI does, no matter what the government does, it's okay. You decide your policy and you are very, very comfortable. And that's the way a lot of clients work with us. And during COVID time, some of the RBI regulations has also been inculcated in the sheet. So moving ahead, since a detailed explanation of this is there in the earlier webinar, and I'll ask Amit to share the link of that webinar so that you can go and see the entire thing in details. So I am going to move forward because there's lots of things to cover. They have shared the link. I hope I'm not going too fast. You could just give me a feedback, say yes, 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 in case I'm okay. Excellent. Thanks, Sanjay, Pranav, Chetan. Excellent. Now, as I was telling you, the entire concept has been very clearly given in terms of dashboards and everything. You can refer to it, and the option structures that you have to take, etc. Now, I'm going to tell you a story about Mr. Rakesh Gupta and his company. Now, Mr. Rakesh Gupta is a second generation entrepreneur, and he's a very well traveled, very, very ambitious. At the same time, he is very settled, very calm, composed, and he wants to get in the best practices in the firm. And he have Mr. Anil Desai, who is a gold medalist chartered accountant, ICWA, and has a plethora of experience across various companies. And Rakesh Gupta and Anil has been working together in the last 20 years, have got a very, very good relationship. And he's running a very large company now, and is running a manufacturing company, has got various exposures, etc. And he wants to change the entire system of treasury in the company. And he takes the help of Anil time and again to ask what has to be done. So this is the current balance sheet of the company. They have INR borrowing, foreign currency borrowing. They are in the expansion spree. They want to do more borrowings. They're not sure whether they should borrow equity or debt. They have investments of around 11,000 crores. They have cash 8,000 crores in balance sheet. So lots of action happening in their treasury, and they want to get the best practice. Now, Rakesh is a part of PO, FICCI, YPO. He's got his friends in various industries. He's got a listed company. He comes on CNBC. So he's very widely exposed, a very widely traveled person. And these are the thoughts, it keeps coming in the mind that I need to improve things in my business. What should I do? I want to earn a higher FD interest, more than interest higher FD. What kind of borrowings I should do? What should my capital structure and all this? And he keeps bothering Anil, let's get in the best practices and all. So before moving forward, I would like to take another poll, and I want you to actively tell Rakesh what he needs to do when he wants to borrow additional funds. Please participate in the poll. I hope everybody can see the poll. Excellent. Equity, debt, equity, debt, equity, debt. What should he borrow? Debt, equity. People are like 50-50. A lot of them are 50-50. Some people are saying optimum mix of debt. You know, somebody would have finished voting can write why optimum mix of debt on the side. Let the audience know that why optimum mix of debt. Come on, make it interactive. It's not going to be a monologue from my side. There are much more learned people sitting there on the opposite side. Please write on the chat box whatever you feel is why they should borrow more of debt or equity. Anybody wants to write on the sides? Vivek writes, oh, hi Vivek, how are you? Ravi, to make it as break even, okay. Cost of equity is more than cost of debt. Yes, that's true. Maintain the ratio, they should be 50-50. Keep debt to the lowest. Sanjay says, keep debt to the lowest. Equity is the most expensive form of raising capital. Foreign currency, Vikram says foreign currency as LIBOR is lowest. Yes, I'm going to cover that, Vikram. Sankara says 50-50 my preference. अरे पता नहीं कहाँ जाएगा 50-50 कर लो, टेंशन ही खत्म, right? Optimizing, now interest rate curve is the lowest, right, Rohit? Simran says debt should be the lowest level to keep the balance sheet debt level. Foreign currency is low pricing. Great. So we got 80% votes. Now I'm going to end the poll. I'm going to show you the results. And maximum people says that they should have a scientific way. And I agree to them. There should be a scientific way of deriving what you should do. So let me show you this slide now. Anything that you do not understand, please write in the chat box. My people will answer. They have worked very hard to make this presentation for you. For the last 15 days, they are working very, very hard. So please feel free to ask, and I'm sure you will get your answers. So if you look at this, just observe this for 30 seconds. On the left side, you can see the leverage. Can you see my cursor? Say why? On the left side, you can see the leverage, which has been increasing. The cost of equity has also been increasing. The cost of debt is also been increasing with the increased leverage and the increased debt equity ratio. The rating is taking a toll. The working average, cost of capital, including debt and equity, the WACC is also coming downward. Why is it coming down? Simply because from equity you are moving to debt, and the equity is of higher cost, and you are moving to debt. So the weighted average, automatically the WACC is coming down. The weighted average cost of capital is also coming down. The value of equity is actually increasing. Now, how is the value of equity calculated? It's nothing but the present value of cash flows discounted by the cost of equity. So if you have more profits in your books, automatically the share prices go up, the value of the firm is going up. My dear friends, some of you would be private companies. Now you are saying it's not applicable to me. No, it's not like that. I mean, you can calculate the value of the equity of your firm. Also, similarly, looking at your peer company in the market. What kind of a return on equity they are having, what kind of cash flows they are having, what is the cost of debt, what is the cost of equity, what is a beta. Accordingly, you can calculate the cost of equity. It's 2 minutes job. You should do it even for a private company. Now, what we are seeing for Rakesh Gupta and company, when we did this, we understood that even though he's now under levered, as soon as the leverage was hitting 1.5, his rating took a toll. It became BBB. His WACC achanak se shot up, and the value of the equity also was getting destroyed. So what do we understand is that it's very good to take leverage, but you should know where you have to stop. Return on equity can be improved by taking leverage, but with increased leverage, what happens is the probability of going towards default or bankruptcy also increases. And that's the reason the equity shareholders say, boss, I want more return. And your cost of equity suddenly shoots up. The debt holder says, I want more return. And the cost of equity says, all the money that you're going to make, you're going to give the debt holders, and I'm going to get my dividends at the last. So I want more returns, right? So I want the cost of equity increases. So apart from dividend, I also want an increase in the share price. So the overall cost, the WACC increases. I hope it's clear. Say why. That's right, why. Excellent. Look at this particular sheet. I mean, over here, this is the cost of equity, as I saw earlier. The cost of debt also increases. The WACC falls because you are replacing expensive equity with debt. The WACC keeps coming down. And suddenly, with an increased leverage, suddenly the WACC shoots up. So you need to know that you did not exceed this level. You need to be somewhere over here, right? Look at this in details. Over here is the cost in percentage. Over here is the value of the firm. Over here, it's the value, the leverage which is increasing. So the value of the equity holders is increasing till the time the return on equity is also increasing. At one point of time, there comes a point where the value gets destroyed because the return on equity starts crossing the cost of equity, right? And over here, you can see the WACC was coming down. And after the value of the firm topped out, the WACC started increasing, right? And the cost of debt suddenly shoots up also. So, what do we understand? And what is the objective of the firm? Number one, and the most important objective is to increase the value of the firm. And how do you increase the value of the firm? By making the cost of capital optimum where there is no eyebrows raised. So what do you basically do? You calculate your current WACC as per the current structure. You recalculate your WACC with adding additional debt and see how's my rating agency is going to react, how's my bankers going to react, how my ratios looking, and then accordingly change the composition of debt and equity. Go back if it does not meet your criteria. If it meets your criteria, move forward and borrow as per the desired. It's a very, very simple phenomenon. So what are you basically doing? And actually, you can actually do this in a very simple Excel, which we have done. Don't look at the Excel. The only thing that you look at, all your line items in your company books are over there. All your interesting ratio in simple rows, return on equity, debt equity ratio, the interest coverage ratio. Once you keep changing your items, keep changing your leverage, everything will change. You need to make sure that your stakeholders are not unhappy. So you need to know what your borderline is, right? It's a very simple exercise. So what you're trying to do is you are trying to use simply as known as financial leverage, right? Because you have a high tax rate. In India, tax rates have come down, but in US, the tax rates are very high. Why Apple raises all the money in America? Why not any other country where the tax rates are zero? Why not in Middle East? Because the higher the tax, the better the benefit you get. And 99% somebody said the cost of equity is always higher than the cost of debt. And this makes maximum sense. I know a lot of people must be thinking, come on, we run our companies entirely with retained earnings. हमें डेट नहीं लेना, हमारे एथोस के खिलाफ. Agreed, completely agreed. There are lots of firms like Unilever who has no debt in his books. Lots of firms like Rajesh Exports. I was talking to the promoters. He has no debt in the book. He's like, I don't want to work for the bank. I'm happy doing things. So again, promoter ethos is very important. But if you decide to take, debt, then in that case, this is the maths you have to do, and you need to take the key ratios. The peer group, how's the peer group's capital structure? Because जब रेटिंग एजेंसीज को डिसाइड करना है तो पीयर ग्रुप के साथ कंपेयर करते हैं आपके रेशियोज के सामने. At the same time, you have to see the indirect bankruptcy cost and direct bankruptcy cost. I mean, if your rating goes for a toss and you're a manufacturer of a car, nobody buys your car. क्योंकि भाई कंपनी रहेगी नहीं रहेगी पता नहीं, अगले 10 साल तक मैं गाड़ी क्यों खरीदूं, कंपनी नहीं रहेगी तो रेटिंग डाउनग्रेड हो गया. And then it gets into a vicious cycle. More debt means your operating profits come down, your and especially the deflationary environment like today, the cost of the assets which you have given as mortgage also comes down. For that, you have to take more debt, less profit. You get into that spiral. It's to a debt deflation kind of a scenario. And most important, please stress test. Stress test with your last 3-4 years times when you had a very bad business. भाई last time 2008 में हमारा business 40% चला गया. 2013 में जब टेपर टैम्परम हुआ तो हमारा बिजनेस 25% चला. When you know that these are the situations when your business took a toll, you adjust your sales, you adjust your profits, and then see that how is your debt going to react, whether you'll be able to service your debt or not, whether there will be a rating downgrade or not. When you do a stress test, you are very clear कि भाई 40% business में गया, then I'm okay. थोड़ा सा debt बढ़ाते हैं. But अगर 40% business जाने के बाद you are in an uncomfortable situation, you need to take a step. I hope I'm clear. Just write why. And life cycle of your company. I mean, when you are a startup, you don't take debt, you take equity. Because अगर debt लेंगे तो service कैसे करेंगे? And this is the mistake a lot of startups make. You know, they take, they're like, equity नहीं देना, अभी जल्दी equity नहीं देना. Debt ले लेते. आप debt तो दे रहे हो, but service कैसे करोगे? You know, that's another problem. And if you increase your operational efficiency, ultimately your top line increase, your turnover increases, etc. More operational increases, economies of scale goes up, and you will be able to take more debt and take financial leverage. And conditions of capital market obviously is there. So that is one. So as I promised you 6 takeaways, this is my first takeaway. Maximize the value of the firm. You should be on the left side, not on the right side, and make sure every other things are being taken in control. Excellent. Now, राकेश गुप्ता said, भाई ये तो समझ में आ गया कि भाई फाइनेंशियल एवरेज कैसे करके पैसा कब करते हैं और डेट हमें लेना है. बट अभी डेट ले क्या? शुड वी टेक शॉर्ट टर्म, लॉन्ग टर्म, रूपी, फॉरेन करेंसी, फिक्स, फ्लोटिंग? अरे इतना कुछ, यू नो. Yes, I say, let's talk to experts. Our rating is very good, and I think we should have a lot of options. So they called the experts. The experts said, hey, this is the bouquet of everything. Choose. Rakesh Gupta said, how do I choose? Like every debt has different plus and minus. I want to know every debt का plus and minus क्या है, क्या leverage है, क्या covenants है, क्या scenarios है, क्या चीज देखना पड़ेगा. I want you to help Rakesh and answer this question, right? Amit, can we have this poll? Okay, please answer this question. राकेश जी को कहाँ डेट उठाना चाहिए और किस चीज का ध्यान रखना चाहिए? Friends, can you see the poll? Just write bye. Excellent. You have a lovely audience. Everybody is participating so actively. It's creating fun. Just imagine 130 people interacting with each other right now and learning from each other. Makes so much sense. I can tell you in this forum, there are people who are such experts in this subject. Please, my dear friends, please share your inputs on the chat box so that everybody can have, knowledge from you. Excellent. I would also like to thank the team who have developed this, and they've been working very hard. I would like to thank the entire team of IFA. Done a tremendous job building this. And at the end of the session, it might extend a little bit, but then there are so much interesting things that you want to see today. I can promise you that. A lot of things that I've inculcated over here. I take something known as Treasury Elite interviews. We talk to the very large CFOs, promoters, who have built up very large companies, and they give ideas, they give strategies, share their problems about entrepreneurship, about financial leverage, about their mistakes, and we have tried to put in a lot of inputs from them, and we have tried to put in. So maybe in the last month I had interviewed maybe around 35 odd people. And these all people's knowledge and ideas we have tried to share with you in this. So I think it's an excellent platform. Please go and subscribe to the Treasury Elite and IFA Global pages on YouTube and IFA Global, LinkedIn, Twitter, so that you can get access to that kind of knowledge. I really feel that you should learn from these people. They have so much of knowledge and so much of experience to share. So we'll quickly end this poll. Excellent. So you people said FX and interest rate risk. A lot of people said, floating and fixed rate interest rate. So I think everything is so important. I feel very less people have quoted about duration of the debt. Friends, if you're issuing a bond, duration is so important. I mean, if inflation goes up, you're going to have a mark to market on your bonds. And so every single point is so important over here. So I think all the points are extremely important. You need to know whether you're borrowing for short term, long term. What you borrow for short term should be put for short term. What you borrow for long term should be put for long term. I mean, you don't want to become one of the NBFCs where you're borrowing short term, putting money in long term, and you're giving the money to the rest of the people, and your assets are in long term. And then suddenly, what happens? That the interest rate changes and you are stuck. Or if the banker comes and asks you that give my money back, and your assets are parked in the long term, you're not able to liquidate that. So you need to make sure that that has been taken care of. Optimum mix of INR and foreign currency borrowing. I mean, your INR borrowing should be backed by your INR assets. The foreign currency borrowing should be backed by foreign currency assets. So Rajesh really wants to know all this, that ठीक है भाई अपना INR का इतना borrowing, इतना INR का इतना receivables है, match कर. Foreign currency का borrowing है, exports है, चलेगा. But at the same time, if you don't want to be in a situation where there is an asset liability mismatch, and जो बच जाता है उसको आपको hedge करना है, right? Fixed and floating, again, borrowing, liabilities and assets. So when you look at your balance sheet, you put buckets and you put your liabilities and assets, and then see whatever is left, you need to hedge that. So you don't have to be a super smart guy to do all this. Only the residual risk is what you need to hedge. The next net you can net it off. Interest rate sensitivity. Come on, as I showed, on your margins, ratios, ratings, so important, right? I mean, every single debt item you need to see pros and cons, impact on your covenants. And as I said, residual exposure is only the one which you need to hedge. Some of the characteristics of debt, I'm not going to spend much time, but you're going to see fixed floating, benchmark, rollover, FX, duration. For short term, for long term also, you're going to typically see all these, what characteristics they are. Just go through it. And most importantly, Rajesh wanted a dashboard. The consultants actually went and created a dashboard. On the dashboard, all the maturity profiles were shown clearly. Short term, medium term, long term. I mean, you don't want to be in a situation कि भाई कल मेरे को payment करना है and I'm not planned. Just imagine in somebody had taken loan in February, had to roll it over, did not roll it over, and COVID happened. I did not plan in advance. In one of the Treasury Elite discussions, I was having a discussion with one of the large conglomerate and his CFO, and he was telling, we had to borrow money. We borrowed money a little bit medium term. The banker was coming and saying, okay, you borrow short term and roll it over, and it will be cheaper. But when the COVID hit in China, we were feeling that अरे भाई पैसा थोड़ा उठाना है, थोड़ा medium term उठा लो. कल पैसा मिले नहीं मिले, liquidity. Because when the situation is tight, suddenly the short term interest goes up, liquidity dries up, and then you are in a soup. You don't want to be in a soup in a situation where there is a crisis. So the maturity bucket has to be very, very clear. And what you have to be very clear, because when Rakesh got this perspective, he said, my corporate governance is very, very good. I just want to make sure I give a very, very transparent picture to my board, to my stakeholders, to my rating agencies. People have put money in my company. I am responsible for them, right? तो आप मुझे ये बता दो, 1% इंटरेस्ट रेट चेंज होने से मेरी बुक्स में कितनी सेंसिटिविटी है, 3% चेंज होने से कितनी सेंसिटिविटी है. कल टर्नओवर 40% गिर गया तो मेरे बुक्स का क्या होगा, जैसे मैंने बोला. So all this sensitivity analysis he wants on a click of a button. So let me show you another thing what we do for some companies. You actually see over here the sensitivity of every single things is actually plotted here. So if I make the sensitivity say at the interest rate increases by say 2% and the FX increases by 5%. Now 2008, 2013, what happened? The interest rates after dipping started going up, and along with the interest rates going up, what happens? Sometimes the FX also goes up, because when there is a crisis situation, both the interest rate and FX both goes again. The dollar becomes strong and the interest rate starts shooting up because everybody starts selling bonds, right? Books में impact कितना होगा? It's not there that you should act later. अरे भाई, I have seen companies getting थर अरे भाई FX move हो गया, interest rates move हो गया, भाई ये तो move करेगा ही, बट आपको पहले से प्लान करना है बेस्ड ऑन 15 years डेटा कि भाई कितना मूव हो सकता है एंड व्हाट विल बी द इम्पैक्ट ऑन माय बैलेंस शीट. भाई आपको डे वन पे आप अपने सब लाइन आइटम्स डाल दो, सब लाइन आइटम्स देख के आप अपनी रेशियोज डाल दो. आपके रेशियोज कैसे कैसे चेंज होने वाले हैं, आपके इंटरेस्ट रेट, तो अगर इंटरेस्ट रेट कल 3% बढ़ जाता है, आपके एमसीएलआर, लाइबोर, टी बिल्स रेट सब चेंज हो जाएंगे, आपके रोस वोस सब बदल जाएंगे. आप लिस्टेड कंपनी हो, आपको ध्यान रखना पड़ेगा. So the interest rate sensitivity and the FX sensitivity and the turnover fall can be put. So sensitivity and scenario analysis in today's time is extremely important. I'm just showing you a dashboard. There's a lot of calculation on the background, but I hope you get the point. Just say why, so that you can understand. Yes, I will try to talk more in English. I'm sorry. Yes. Coming back to the PPT, so we can do the sensitivity analysis. Now, somebody just wrote that a dollar may we should borrow because dollar is cheaper. So friends, even Rakesh and Anil, when they were discussing, there were a lot of misconceptions which were going on. That, I borrow in short term and keep rolling it over, like I just said, of a steel company. In the panic time, the yield curve gets inverted. The short term interest rate just shoots up. And then, you don't get money also. And people say, I borrow in dollars and then interest rates are low. You can borrow in dollars, but you should know what is the annual depreciation of the dollar rupee. Anybody? Just write on the chat box, what is the annual depreciation of dollar rupee year on year, last 15 years data? 3, 4, 5, anybody? 4%. Perfect. 3.9%. So when you know the forward premium on an average is 4.5%, annual depreciation is 4%. So it's a zero sum game, right? The forward premium is there because there's a forward premium because the rupee will depreciate. Some year it will not depreciate, but then it's a zero sum game, right? You have to be smart enough to understand when do you take a loan and when you keep your positions open in case you want to do it. And in case you borrow in euro, Japanese yen, or any other currencies where you feel the interest rate is low, my dear friends, if you borrow in negative currencies like Japanese yen, please understand the more currency risk is there. Japanese yen is the most volatile of the lot, and now you're not seeing that kind of movement. But when it moves in 2008, it just moves 25-30%. And you have two currency exposure. One is Euro INR. So it's a Euro INR. So Euro and INR, two currency exposure, the volatility increases. Because Japanese yen plus INR. So 20-25% is your annual volatility. So don't have these misconceptions. There is no free lunch in financial markets, right? So you need to understand the risk and do scenario analysis and avoid last minute spread. Now, how do I hedge my interest rate risk in rupee loan? Wait, Rajesh says कि भाई COVID hai, bankers are not giving money right now. They're not interested only. They're so risk averse. And dollar is so cheaply available. All my friends are going abroad. I mean, I'm reading that $50-60 billion is what they have raised. We should also raise dollars. But we don't want any risk. Hedge my risk and all. Whatever the risk is, LIBOR and all that. See. So let's borrow around 30% rupee and 70% dollar. And we want to hedge our interest rate risk, So Anil says, yeah, okay. Let's check with the experts. Let's do all the mathematical calculation. And I'll come with an MIS and I'll tell you, this is my interest rate risk. This is what we need to pay for the swap, etc. And we'll do it. So they again discuss with the experts. The experts, which are now you, come and says that if the interest rates are going up, what the duration is what you're going to borrow for? Please give your polls. You will tell Rakesh what has to be done. Thanks, Kiranjit. My Hindi is little okay. But thanks for complimenting. Simran, Ratan, Yashika, thumbs up. 4% is the right answer. Excellent. I hope I'm not going very fast. Just say no, so I know that I am okay in terms of my speed. I hope you are able to get. Thanks, Chetan. Thanks, Airam. Thanks, Parag. Thanks, Rohit. Thanks, Vivek. Vivek is a quant expert. Excellent. Excellent. We'll take 10 seconds more and then. Can you hear me, guys? Can you hear me loud and clear? Just write why. Yes. Okay. मजा आ गया. It's such a lovely audience. So, everybody has polled. So expect interest rates to go up. What will be the duration? Short term, long term, indifferent, mix of both. Okay. By interest rate, if it goes up, obviously, what you are going to do is you are going to take longer term and block it. अगर current interest rate अगर आपको 4% है, obviously you are going to say that okay, I want to take this 4% and I'm going to keep it for a longer time. So what are you going to do? You are going to the bank and tell them, boss, I want to lock in this current interest rate, which is 4% or 5% or 6%, because I am seeing the interest rates to go up. So tell me something so that I can lock in these interest rates, right? So let's look at this. If you are in a falling interest rate scenario, obviously you would like to participate in the downfall. I mean, abhi jo person, anybody who would have borrowed at 8%, he's feeling sorry, right? The repo rate has come down. So anybody who would have borrowed at 9-10%, his cost of capital is up, and the transmission has not happened from the bankers. He's paying more interest, and he's feeling sorry. And now anybody who's going to borrow now, and if the interest rates go up because inflation in India goes up, he's going to feel sorry. Karna kya hai? What you need to do? You need to simply go and tell the bank, hey, I need to hedge my interest rate risk. Now, what do you have to do? There is an instrument known as an OIS. You can hedge your interest rate through an OIS. If you feel equity is going to go up, what do you do? My dear friends, what do you do? If the equity is going to go up, you buy futures? Say why? Want to buy futures? Over here also, you are going to pay an OIS and you are going to go long interest rates. You will say the bank, okay, I will pay you fixed INR coupon payment. भाई 4% मेरे से ले लो. कल 5% ऊपर market गया, the interest rates go up, then you pay me floating. My interest rate risk has been taken care of. You know, banker will do the calculation and tell you, okay, the only thing is to do an OIS in India, because your amount has to be little sizable. Slowly and steadily, I think more and more companies will be able to do it. But I think this should definitely be a part of your instrument. A lot of companies don't use it. But today, say the repo rate or the reverse repo rate just bottoms out and you borrow your money that time and the interest rate shoots up, you don't want to be locked. Your project cost is going to go a toss. So there is some simple mathematical calculations that you can do, that how much of the OIS that you have to take. So for a 15,000 crore, the value of the OIS was 1,500 crores. You ask me how did it come? We'll not spend much time on that. But then based on the duration of the loan, you calculate the amount, which is 1,350 crores, where whatever loss that you make because of the increase in the interest rates gets nullified by taking a 1,350 crore OIS and the value becomes zero. So if the interest rates tomorrow go to, say, repo rate goes to 6% or 6.5%, you are not going to have any kind of loss. If it goes down, there will be an opportunity loss, but you are comfortable at 4% repo. You are comfortable with the current MCLR. So good, well and good. So I'm going to move forward. He says, कि चलो भाई रुपी तो हो गया. Now what about my dollar interest rate? I don't trust these Americans. They keep the interest rate low. Europe is keeping it low. Japan is keeping it low. There now is a deflationary environment. But suddenly there is a supply side shock, and the inflation goes up, and they say, "Bhai, हमें तो interest बढ़ाना है. We want to increase the interest rates." Then what do? I don't want LIBOR risk. Hedge my LIBOR risk. And LIBOR to छोड़ो. I don't even want dollar risk. I don't even know the dollar is depreciated so much. Some people are saying euro will go to parity. Some people are saying euro is going to 1.245. Nobody knows where the market is going. So my dollar risk also, you tell me what to do, and we can decide what has to be done, but you tell me how to do it. And I want to focus on my business, but I want to improve my operational efficiency. This is not my business. Anil says, okay, let's do this. We'll hedge our floating LIBOR risk and USD risk. And consultants were saying that there were some ways to reduce the hedging cost also. They're talking about something like a Seagull or something. So let's look at that. So to hedge your dollar risk, it's simple. There are three parts. One is you hedge your rupee risk, you convert your floating rupee to fixed. Similarly, through an IRS, what you can do, you can convert your LIBOR risk into fixed interest rate risk. One risk gone. LIBOR risk is gone. The second you do is, well, you don't want any dollar risk. So all the coupons, all the interest rate you pay, you say, bank, I am going to pay you rupee. I don't want any risk. And principal also, I'm going to pay you rupee. You tell me how much rupee you have to give, how much interest I have to give. I don't want any risk. Then to do a pause, that is also gone. So no dollar risk, pause and cost. Now, Rajesh says, अरे भाई कोई risk नहीं चाहिए. Risk चाहिए नहीं. Dollar risk also gone, IRS also gone. What to do? By you do a CCRS, no interest risk. So CCRS nothing but post cost plus IRS. So all the interest rate gone. And how do you calculate all this? You get a MY4. It's available online. You take the MY4, which is a LTFX, and the IRS rate you get from the bank. Just add them. You get a CCRS. All your risk has been taken care. So friends, to do the calculations, there is a host of calculations. I'm not getting into that because it's none of your business. A simple 5-minute calculation, experts can do it for you. But the point I want to make it that when you want to hedge, these are the way you can hedge. And which I was saying, the cost can also be reduced by doing Seagull. Seagull may, what you basically do, you take a view that if the rupee is below a threshold, for example, if the rupee is 75 or say the rupee is 80, if you do the structure currently, your cost of hedging becomes 4.7%. You do a Seagull, your cost at say 80 is only 3.3%. Cost at 70, you will ultimately gain. So effective cost is only 1%. So you gain 3% year on year. So a Seagull structure is good when the rupee has already depreciated to a level. But if the rupee goes to 100 on all in next 3 years, you might have to pay something additional. So you need to be very careful when you do a Seagull. You can take help of experts when you do it. But today, if the rupee depreciates by 15%, then you do a Seagull. It's a great structure to enter. So coming back, I hope everybody is following it. Just write why. Excellent, Sanjay. Thank you. Anything that you don't understand, we'll send you the mails so you can understand. So now, most of the time, the cost of dollar and the cost of rupee is same. There are times when the forward premiums get crashed and the short-term forward premiums go in discount. Why they go in discount? Because everybody is scrambling for dollars. So they buy the dollars, they sell the dollars in the forward market, and they sell less than the spot also. Sometimes in the current market, you see that there's a discount. And that's the time, recently when people were raising ECBs left, right, and center, the forward premiums crashed. And then there is a window of opportunity where you can save 0.5% or 1% at times. I remember in 2013 when Raghuram Rajan times the money came in, that time it happened. Now also sometime back it happened. That's the time the cost of dollar borrowings become cheaper than the rupee borrowing, and then you should take this opportunity, and all hedge basis, it makes sense. This is for the Seagull. So over here, you can see the Seagull structure. If the market rupee appreciates, you actually make money in a Seagull. Your cost becomes so less. And if the rupee stays in the range in the next 3 years, possibly you will pay 0.5% more than the forward, and the cost only increases if the rupee depreciates a lot more than 95. So it's a good option. And a part of the hedging, you could do it. And why is the Seagull making sense? Because the volatility has come down, because the foreign exchange reserves in India has become very comfortable, right? So, takeaway 3. Please cover your foreign exchange and the interest rate risk with respect to any foreign currency loan. There is no free lunch in financial markets, and some strategies like Seagull can be taken because the walls have come down. I hope you understand. This is right. Why? Excellent. Now, भाई पैसे कहाँ लगाने हैं? Where do we put our money? Investments are there in the balance sheet. Cash is there in the balance sheet. भाई COVID हो गया, we raised 10,000 crore extra cash just to make sure that we have money to pay salaries and overheads, and our stakeholders don't get disturbed. But be careful. We're not going to put money in some credit fund or some Yes Bank bond or something like that where we lost money. No credit funds and all that. My friends lost a lot of money. What is happening in the market? What's the scene in the market right now? The repo has come down. There is no money in the overnight. Somebody was telling me only 3% you are getting in overnight. 2.9. How much, guys? How much are we getting? 2.9 or 3% in overnight money? Anybody? And how much we were getting 6 months back in overnight funds? Anybody parking money in overnight funds? 3%. Chetan, agreed? Yeah, 3.5%. So Anil says, no, sir, we will take care. We will put it in AAA rated bonds only. अब ILFS होने के बाद क्या AAA क्या नहीं पता नहीं. But we'll try to keep it AAA, and we'll try to increase our investment policy also, because the money is there and we have to be shared. So my dear friends, when you are putting your corporate treasuries money, which is not your private money, and it's the money of your shareholders, where do you put money? What is the biggest risk that you typically hold? Please poll. What is the risk that you're typically seeing? Excellent. Credit risk. Everybody is saying credit risk now. But when the music was going, nobody talked about credit risk. Then the people were investing in 11%, 12% triple B bonds, bonds which were not rated AAA. Everybody was interested because everybody was looking at carry. My dear friends, please understand, if you are getting a higher return on any product, there is no free lunch. They are getting a higher return because there is a credit risk involved. And for getting 1 or 2% extra return, a lot of these brokers come into the picture and start selling these products. Getting 1-2% extra return, you can't risk 100% of your capital, right? The risk reward is not justified, because every 10 years there will be a situation where there's going to be a financial crisis. So if आपने पैसा किसी को ऐसे को दिया है, who is ready to pay you 12-13%, that means your money is at risk. And additional 2-3-4%, even if you're getting on a longer duration, becomes a zero-sum game. So you have to be very careful. And what has happened basically in the last few days is that the repo, which was 6%, has come to 4%. Reverse repo has become your benchmark rate, which is at around 3.35%. And your overnight rates are even low. People are parking money. Banks are flush with around 7 trillion worth of rupees, and they're parking money at 2.93% because there's so much of liquidity in the system, right? Everybody like paisa le lo, paisa le lo, paisa le lo. And earlier you used to invest in a corporate bond. How much you used to get? 7.5-8%, right? 2 years back, 2018, before around ILFS, around 7.5-8. Guys, how much you used to get? 8%, right? People used to borrow at 8%. And have you calculated in 2 years what was the CAGR? Anybody? Including the capital gains and the coupon that they would have got. The net YTM, how much they would have got on a CAGR in 2 years? In 18, 19 months, they got a CAGR or approximately 12 and a half, 13%. Why? Because they got the coupon for 2 years. So 8 into 2, that's 16. Plus they got capital gains of approximately, say, 2.5 was the average duration. So 5 into 10, uh, something like 2.5 into 2, 5%. So another 5% to that. So around 12, 13% was the average that they would have got because they had invested in a debt fund. And now, everybody, since the repo was cut down, everybody was actually putting in money right now in the bonds. And suddenly, because RBI did not cut rates, the bond interest went up, and then people were having mark to market. You know, in 1 month, how much mark to market came? 7% on an annualized basis, because they earned carry for 1 month, and because of the duration, they lost money. So net 7% annualized, they actually lost money. 60 basis point into 12, which is around 7.5% was the annualized risk. So that was not the mandate for the corporates. So things have been very tricky in the interest rates, and that's the reason understanding interest rates are very, very important. So people earlier used to say, "Chalo, you put in money in fixed deposit." Then they moved to corporate fixed deposits. Now corporate fixed deposit interest rates have also come down to 5.5%. How much is Bajaj Finance giving, or say HDFC is giving? 5.5%. You know, then they're saying, the people who are HNIs and all, they're parking money in savings account. Any bank which is giving 5.5%, 6%, IndusInd Bank, IDFC, they're giving higher interest rate in savings. People are putting money there in savings account. And so let us see where are the, so credit risk, of course, is the biggest one. Let us see what are the risks associated with investments. First is your net yield after expenses. If you're working with a broker, there is expenses that you have to take into account. Tax. Right? If you have an 8% interest, 8% income, you have 40% tax, and 7% you have 10% tax, 15% tax. It's not the same, right? You have to see post-tax. Duration, as I said, the longer the duration, people don't calculate that like last month what happened. People had the duration risk, and 2 years back, people gained because of the duration. So you need to do a stress test. People get shocked. अरे भाई हमने तो 5% पे लगाया था. How is my return negative? Guys, you invested in a 3-year paper, invested in a banking and a PSU fund or a corporate fund which had a duration risk. You didn't calculate, and now when you want to exit that, and the interest rates have gone up, the yield have gone up, there is a duration risk. Investments has to match with your ALM. You parked money in short term, you park money in long term, and your liabilities are short term. And suddenly you will go and sell that asset. When you sell that asset, there's a mark to market risk. So asset liability has to be taken care of. You need to have a proper bucket. पैसा यहाँ आना है, पैसा यहाँ जाना है. It has to match. Then you need to see a reinvestment risk on the portfolio. If you see the interest rates are going to remain low, then park money in longer term. Na? You invest in roll down funds. In roll down funds, even if you cancel the funds in the middle, say you get 5% in a roll down fund, in next 2 years, suppose you don't expect the interest rates of corporate FDs to go up. If you expect that RBI is going to maintain the same. Now 5% you earn for 1 year, 2 year, even if interest rates go up, net, you are going to be gaining over there. So roll down funds is something which is very, very relevant. In today's, you can do a Google, understand more on that. Concentration risk. People are talking about credit. So what happened with Franklin Templeton? There was so much of concentration risk. I know so much of large corporate treasury who has investment policy saying, hey, एक fund house में 10% से ज़्यादा नहीं डालना. One asset, I don't want to put more than 5%. So concentration risk has to be taken. Then your credit rating and liquidity risk. I cannot emphasize more. I have already covered that. So these are the points that you have to cover in a snapshot. A lot of people ask corporate treasury, hey, I have 100 crores in the kitty, what to do? So these are the options. Short term, put in liquid funds. For HNIs, you can put in savings. Ultra short term, you can put in 3 to 6 months. You can put in short term debt, etc., etc. And all this is. So these are the options. The tax-free bonds are very good. The REITs are also very good. You should study that. But to make money in the debt market, apart from this lazy money, you should have a very, very clear view on the interest rates. You need to understand how the interest rate movement is. सिर्फ FX and equities से नहीं हुआ. If you're running a treasury, you need to understand FX, interest rate, everything, and also commodities, by the way. Today we will not cover commodities, but yes. So the takeaway 4, as I promised, is look at your tax, look at roll down funds, which is good. Take an SLR approach. Safety comes first. वो 1% कमाने आप मत जाओ. Safety of your capital is more. But the music is going, everything looks good. When the music stops, people say, अरे तो सोचा ही नहीं था. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. So ये सब तो हो गया उसकी बात. Now the question is कि Rajesh says, भाई Anil, we have so much of cash. There are 50 people who are doing data entry. From the receivables people, they say, money is going to come. The payables seeing people saying, itna creditors hai, money has to go. Sometimes I see the money has to go, they have overestimated by 100 crores. What is your override? Money is kept 100 crores. We need to have an automatic system. We need to have a system where automatically there is a proper forecasting. Whatever money comes and goes from various bank accounts, the system should read it. They should net it off, and then whatever is the net, they should be able to just park it automatically to a liquid fund or a money market fund or whatever duration you want to take to this. But I want transparency and I want clarity. I don't want to be in a situation where there is a laziness or there is a error in the system, because we are having 6,000-7,000 crores. Even 0.5% of the yield which can be increased is a huge amount. Will take care of salaries of so many people who are working in the company. So Anil says, yes, we will take care. Even I think if efficiency can be improved, 0.5% yield will go up, right? So we will take care of it. So there are certain cash flow software. Companies who are sizable banks, multiple banks, all the statements can be read automatically. All the bank balances will come automatically. You don't have to do anything. And automatically, whatever net will be parked also. The mandate is clear. So if you have multiple companies, if you have multiple subsidiaries, you have multiple currencies, these things can be taken care. You will get a proper dashboard, centralization will happen, and the treasury will be very efficient. Everything can be put in the buckets. It's worth spending that kind of money, especially if you have a decent. Now, these things are taken care of. Now, he's saying, what do we do about RBI? So many things are coming in FEMA, RBI guidelines. Somebody is saying LIBOR will be moved. This anticipated exposure, past performance, what this new thing has come here? Somebody is saying past profit will not be passed, and the latest thing I heard was this current account thing. What is this current account thing? My accounts in Citibank, HDFC, all my cash management done. Only because of some Nirav Modi or some Kingfisher, they are saying the PSUs we have to do cash account. Of course, the public sector banks are not going to be so efficient. We are used to dealing with Citi or Stanchart or with ICICI or with HDFC. I can't cancel my current accounts with them. So, and it says, sir, most of the MNCs banks are actually sitting with RBI scratching their heads, okay, what has to be done? And what is this exotic derivatives which is coming in? I hope it is not like 2008. And he says, no, sir. We checked with the experts. They're very good, very interesting structures. And if we use it meticulously, understanding the risk reward, these are actually very, very good. And you actually can go to the website and actually check our website that what is the concept of anticipated exposure and past performance. I don't think there is a problem. Some tweaks you need to do in terms of booking. If you're not over trading and you can do some pre-utilizations and all, this is going to be taken care of. बहुत बड़ा हवा बना दिया इसको, ऐसा कुछ है नहीं. And in terms of LIBOR transition, yes, it's going to be a big thing. In terms of LIBOR, things are going to change. They're going to be more secured, treasury-based transactions. Earlier, there was a lot of rigging and all done. In UK, there's going to be Sonia. In EU is going to be Esther. So these are going to be more secured. Earlier, it was unsecured. So it's something for the good, but you need to know all your transactions, all your liability, or all your exposure, which were LIBOR-based, things are going to change. So if you need advice on that, that also you can take help from experts. Now, I'm going to give you a bonus. So people talk about FX, commodity and all. People don't talk about how to take a view on the interest rates. It's not so difficult. Everything is available online. Now, the way you take a view on the interest rates are very simple. Anil says, track the 5 things. So one is the OIS rate. OIS kya? OIS is nothing but what is the expectation of RBI to increase the rates. By looking at the OIS, you can say the expectation of RBI hiking rates. So when you are borrowing your money, You can look at the OIS curve and say, RBI is going to hike or not hike. And on a daily basis, it keeps changing. So if the OIS is higher than the repo rate, means RBI is going to hike rate. Problem is gone. People keep talking about liquidity. What is this liquidity in the system? Liquidity is nothing, but in the entire banking system, what is the money which is there? Now, if the liquidity is in the deficit, the weighted average call money rate is higher than the repo, because there's a limit to how much you can borrow from RBI, right? People go and borrow from the call money market. So if there is extreme deficit, people say, "Bhai, higher interest rate mein paisa chahiye." They go to the banks and hire. And if it's liquidity is excess, then there's a ulta. The call money market actually goes down below the reverse repo rate also. So in terms of other parameters, just track 10-year GSEC and 3-month T-bill. So what is that? 10-year is 10-year bond, 3-month is 3-month. But if the 10-year interest rates are going up, means what? Inflation is going to go up, and in the future RBI is going to hike rates. So you get a view on the market. So the gap increases. That means the inflation is going to go up, and nobody wants to hold duration. That means nobody wants to buy long-term bonds. I mean, the RBI did an operation twist. Why? कोई FII को duration नहीं खरीदना, कोई banker को duration नहीं खरीदना. Nobody wants to buy that. So what they do, they're saying, we want to invest in 3 months. RBI comes, okay, fine. You invest in 3 months, we will go and buy 10-year bonds. FII is not interested in buying 10-year or 15-year. They're saying we are okay to take short term, because they feel because of supply side shocks, the interest rates could go up, the YTM can go up. But 10-year GSEC spreads, if you are a bondholder, if you have issued a bond or a corporate paper, you would have seen. Suddenly during COVID, what happens? HDFC bonds went up. 8%, 7.5%. State government bonds, Andhra got auctioned at 8.5%. That means there is no appetite for credit risk. People are like, yeah, RBI ko paisa do. Invest in fixed deposits. Don't want to invest in corporate papers. That will tell you the risk aversion in the market. And MIFOR OIS spread is another way. By seeing the MIFOR OIS spread, you can see if the OIS goes up, what it means. A lot of international companies are buying dollars, and to hedge the dollars, what they're doing, they're paying the MIFOR. So MIFOR goes up, right? And if the MIFOR comes down, what basically means? The ulta. So higher the spread, the more entities are raising money. So this was something on the interest rate. So I gave you six tables. Whatever I promised, I have given you. I'm sure you would have gained something out of it. Everything is important. FX, interest rate, optimal structures, foreign currency, INR, investment policy, Mike. Do not invest just like that. अरे overnight में डाल दिया. अरे duration में भी बहुत पैसा बन सकता है. Even if you can increase the yield by 0.5%, your job is done. Understand this subject. It is very, very relevant. And then track interest rates. Even for academic sense, you should have a view on interest rates. So very important. You should be able to understand what RBI policy is. So I hope we have met our promise. Just say why. And these are certain things that we can do for you. Anything with regards to treasury, anything with regards to financial transformation, anything with regards to debt raising. If you have a problem, covenants, or a banking advisory, anything related to FEMA, we have some interesting softwares. Everything we can do for you, right? Any questions? Please put in your questions. I'm extremely thankful for all of you. It took us 1 hour, 13 minutes. I took 1 hour, 10 minutes from you. You have delivered as per promise. Any questions, please connect with us. Please please write in your questions, and we'll be happy to answer the questions. Please put in your questions in the question answers. Okay, Mukesh asks that how do we see debt market after 3 months, especially in Corona situation? Yes, Mukesh, debt is going to be tricky. Time and again, there are supply side shocks. People do expect the inflations to go up. RBI is coming actively just to make sure that growth doesn't get hampered and there is proper transmission of interest rates. So they are doing all these sort of HTM category bonds that they are done. They're trying to do more and more OMOs as and when required. They're trying to do operation twist. And then they're trying to tell the market that if you take the interest rates up, I'm going to stand and I'm going to hit the market. So people are not very comfortable going against the RBI. So it's going to be a little tricky, but RBI is trying its level best to bring down the interest rates and take the yields down. But if something second wave or third wave happens, something like that, and there's a huge risk aversion, the YTMs can go up, the interest rates can go up further. Ajay says, yes, we do advise Ajay on everything with regards to foreign currency. We're in the business from the last 16 years. All the clients, they have these kind of problems, so we can take care. NPA situation, well, the numbers are 13, 14. What is the actual numbers? Nobody knows. But it could head towards 17, 18% also. You should be seeing your friends and families around and able to guess what the NPA situation is going to be. Do not look at the equity markets and make your view. There is a lot of stress in the banks. We are seeing stress in NBFCs. Things are not looking too great over there. So banking is tricky, and that's the reason the banking sector in India is also underperforming. Of course, KB Kamath has built up this entire committee to look at things. Okay. So US election is going to be a little tricky. First of all, you do not know what's going to happen. I don't think you should take a view on that. Before elections, whether Trump wins or Biden wins, you should not take a view on that. You should be adequately covered. Because markets during elections, I have seen before the market catches a direction, the markets can go both sides. So it can happen a 7-8% volatility both sides. A lot of people say that if Trump comes back, the US stock markets are going to go up and the dollar would again become strong. There's another view which says that the Chinese currency is going to get very strong if Trump loses, because people will see that China will become the new, the strongest nation on the lot. The US dollar is going to get weakened. So I think these are thoughts and ideas about people. You should take a clear, calculated bet on and you should do a stress testing on your portfolio. So I can give you 5 points towards dollar getting stronger and 5 points dollar getting weaker. I don't think you should take a view on that. You should simply take a view on how your portfolio is going to react and what your sensitivity is. And 2-3 months are going to be very tricky, so you have to be very, very careful on that. Any other questions? So when to book forward contract, Manikandan? Again, you are taking a view. You should keep a strategy. You should keep a rolling strategy for dollar rupee. You are getting carry. As of now, dollar is broadly weak globally, unless we see a sudden strength in the US dollar. So as a company, we have been selling dollars from 75, 75 half, and running this particular strategy. It's paid out well. Unless we see a reversal, I think it's still a sell. Euro dollar Seagull. I think euro dollar Seagull would make sense looking at what the structure is, but please understand you have seen an 8-year dollar bull run. And it is possible that euro might appreciate to 1.22, 1.3, 1.24 if the dollar weakening keeps happening. So whatever Seagull you do, whatever the call sell angle that you typically enter into, you have to be very, very careful. And you should be very careful in terms of what kind of unwinding, how you're going to do an unwinding. So unless a trend of the US dollar again starts, I don't think it's a great idea to do a Seagull. Even if you do a Seagull, you should know how to unwind it. Because if dollar really weakens very much, then your Seagull is going to be tricky. So with this, my dear friends, thank you so much for your time. I think you have been a lovely audience. You have spent a lot of time with us. I'm sure you would have taken something, and even if you've taken 1 or 2 points out of this entire session, I think I'm a very happy man. The team has worked very, very hard for this. And stay tuned, stay connected for my next session, which is going to be on how do you make a view on the markets and dollar rupee. It's going to be a very interesting session. Stay tuned, stay connected. God bless and stay safe. Thank you so much. Thank you. Please keep following us, the Treasury Elite. And the Treasury Elite is a very, very interesting platform. Please connect in Treasury Elite and also IFA's channel to keep getting some interesting stuff and interesting reports. And you can mail us in case you want any kind of reports.